Well, breaking news on our financial crisis. Published reports now saying the Federal Reserve is about to take an 80% stake in the insurance company AIG. It's the country's largest insurance company, in return for an $85 billion federal loan. Reports say the Federal Reserve could step in after a Wall Street effort to save AIG from collapse has failed. Those reports saying the Federal Reserve is considering an $85 billion rescue plan for AIG, and if so, it would be absolutely unprecedented. We will have details as soon as we learn more on that breaking story. Well, joining me now, three of the country's top radio talk show hosts in Chicago, Steve Cochran, WGN. Steve, great to see you. In Washington, D.C., Chris Plant, WMAL. Chris, good to see you. And in Kansas City, Chris Stigall of KCMO. Good to have you back, Chris.
Hi, Lou. Thank you.
Well, let's start with this one, if I may. Your reaction. First, Steve, let's go to you. I mean, what do you think? I mean, if this turns out to be the case, the federal government is effectively nationalizing AIG.
I'm sorry, Lou, was that for me?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hear the introduction. Yeah, you're exactly right. I honestly, I have mixed feelings about it because we've backed ourselves into a corner on Wall Street in more than one case now. We can't have the insurance business such that it is collapse. So we also can't have CEOs manage failed companies into this position and get millions of dollars to go away. It's a mess. It's a giant cluster. So, yeah, essentially nationalize the biggest insurance holder in the country. It's one of these.
Yeah. Is that what it is, Chris?
It's one of these.
If it comes to pass, it's another terrible precedent. And all of this began with a bad idea during the Clinton years that we needed to be more inclusive, and low-income people who couldn't get into the housing market needed to get into the housing market. So we changed the rules, and now we're bearing the fruit of that.
Well, and we also had, just to keep this bipartisan, the ownership society under this administration, Chris.
Well, Lou, this is something I would point out to you, though. Why don't we get this kind of criticism about the idea of nationalizing our health care? We get wound up about insurance and home lending, but boy, when we talk about nationalizing health care, everybody's for it, aren't they?
Well, that's a great point, Chris, but the fact of the matter is, at this rate, we may be nationalizing just about everything. I just cannot imagine where there is a limit once we have undertaken these bailouts. I mean, the people who need the bailout, obviously, being foreclosed upon, their companies going bankrupt. There ought to be, actually on radio today, one of my listeners said, maybe we should have a bailout for people who actually pay their bills, have made prudent decisions, and have acted responsibly and avoided debt. And we can have like a national...
That's crazy talk, Lou.
The truth is, Lou, that this is not so much a failure of the market as it is a failure of government meddling in the market, which has been going on for about 15 years. And again, it does go back to the Clinton administration's idea, which was a noble idea, that we need to be more inclusive, that low-income families need to get into the American dream and be able to get mortgages and buy houses. And the whole thing is kind of blown up in our faces. They put Franklin Raines, a Clinton administration crony in charge of Fannie Mae. He collected $100 million in pay and bonuses. He laid the track for this. This house of cards has been built by government regulation and building down the regulation so that we could be more inclusive in the housing market. And now this thing is blown up in our face. And we see the people on Capitol Hill who made this happen pointing the finger and passing the buck and blaming everybody else. But in the final analysis...
It's all politics is. Politics is nothing but blame now.
Let me do this. Let's listen to Senator Obama today, going after Senator McCain on his economic views. Here is Senator Obama.
We are in the most serious financial crisis in generations. Yet Senator McCain stood up yesterday and said that the fundamentals of the economy are strong. And he tried to explain himself again this morning by saying that what he meant to say was that the American workers are strong.
Are we getting to the point here when both parties, in my judgment, are absolutely responsible for the mess on Wall Street, the misguided policies of both the previous administration, this administration in particular, I may say, and the ridiculous do-nothing Congress, the 109th Congress, and this do-less Congress, the 110th.
Lou, I got to tell you, I don't want to be lectured by Barack Obama, who this very evening is about to raise $9 million at a $28,500 a plate fundraiser with Barbara Streisand tonight. Now tell me that in a woeful, painful, soup line economy, you can raise $9 million tonight with Streisand.
Well,
that's a little hard to swallow from him.
Furthermore, Mr. Post-partisan Barack Obama has spent his entire speech today attacking John McCain and not offering any a way out of this crisis whatsoever. Right. He pointed the finger, he passed the buck. This all goes to the people on Capitol Hill, rules that came about during the Clinton administration with the best of intentions that have blown up in our face.
Chris, it's not like you're giving. There's a little 8-year, almost 8-year missing part of your tape here. I mean, the Bush administration has been an absolute joke.
The Bush administration does not get a free pass on this, but hang on a second, because these rules were changed under Clinton, and the idea was to get low-income people.
Talk about it. See, this is the problem.
To get low-income people.
This is the problem because
when it comes to Obama passing the buck, this is an important point.
All right, go ahead, Steve.
Well, no, it's a broken record, because you can talk about Clinton. Guess what? He's no longer president. He's not running.
Yes.
Neither one of these candidates has said anything. Neither one has said anything.
It's selective.
They don't know
outrage,
what. You know what?
guys.
I'll take my financial information from the banker on Deal or No Deal, because
Fannie
that guy.
People were quiet about Fannie and Freddie.
We'll be back in just a moment with our panel. And at the top of the hour, the election center with Campbell Brown. Campbell, what's on?